Increasingly, the fans are determining who's popular, what's successful, and who wins. Let me give an example. A few months ago, Variety did a survey amongst America's teenagers. And they asked them who they thought were the most popular stars in entertainment. Some names are quite obvious, like Jennifer Lawrence, Katy Perry. Even Steve Carell made the list, which, by the way, it's amazing to see that somebody over the age of 50 is relevant to today's teenagers. So it's good, there's still hope. Exactly. But all of these stars, they have become famous the traditional way, with the help of kingmakers. Nothing wrong with that at all. It's incredibly hard, but that was the method. They're on TV, they're in movies and radio. That's how they became famous. So let's see where they ended up. Katy Perry just had an amazing performance at the Super Bowl, not too far from here. Number 9. Steve Carell, star of Despicable Me, The Office, 40-Year-Old Virgin, number 10. And Jennifer Lawrence, who is an Oscar winner and driving massive Hunger Games franchise, she's number 7. Paul Walker, the star of another massive franchise, Fast and Furious, and recently passed away, he was number 6. So none of these amazing stars are in number 5. So who is in number 5? Every single one of those celebrities are YouTube stars. Smosh, the Fine Brothers, PewDiePie, KSI, and Ran Higa. People talk about YouTube creators being the stars of the future. They're stars today. This survey has happened, this survey about the past and present, it's happening today. We never had a meeting. There was no Hollywood mogul that chose these people to be stars. Nobody has anointed them. There was no secret meeting at YouTube at which we sat around and said, we will bet on these guys, and this is, we will make these guys stars. They have done it on their own. We work on the platform and make sure things work, but they have connected with the audiences, and they have done it on their own. So in Hollywood, people become famous because the fans are choosing to watch them, not because we decide. When content is abundant, fans choose what's popular, and that is a very, very new feeling for most of us. I'm guessing that most of you haven't heard of these folks, and it's kind of scary because it is kind of a weird feeling that we have less to talk about when we talk about famous people. But that is increasingly the reality. And in the future, being a star will mean being a star to fewer people. PewDiePie, the guy in the middle on the slides here, he's number 3 on the list. He has the most subscribers on YouTube of anyone, 34 million and counting. And most people actually haven't heard of him. This trend might feel new, and it's actually happened a few times before. First with books, and then music, etc. When the first printing press was invented, it ushered a new era of best-selling authors. Erasmus sold 750,000 copies in the 16th century, which, by the way, is an incredible number by today's standards. The Bible became the most widely published book in the world. But today, the choice of what we read has become so vast and nearly infinite, representing over almost every field of human interest imaginable. So while there are still bestsellers, most of us are actually reading different things. So if you ask your neighbor what their favorite book is, most likely their answer will be quite different from yours. And this fragmentation has happened in music as well. When there was a shift from AM to FM radio, it has ushered in an era of massive music explosion and mass consumption. And at first, it created towering stars like Elvis Presley and the Beatles, still the top-selling band of all time. But with the emergence of online radio and streaming sites like Pandora, YouTube, Spotify, the sheer number of artists and genres has exploded. It's really interesting. Spotify's most streamed song of all time is Wake Me Up by Avicii. If he was sitting here in this audience right here, most of us probably would not recognize him. And that's what's happening in video. This is what's happening in video, text, and audio today. It's just an evolution of this process. It's undeniable. It's like gravity. And every time this process occurs, we see the same trend. The quantity of content increases, the amount of time spent consuming increases, and the hits and stars are smaller than they used to be. Make no mistake, it doesn't mean that traditional media will disappear. There are still book publishers, even though people have predicted the demise of books since the Renaissance. When TV emerged, everyone thought it would be the end of Broadway, and theater is alive and well. So these changes rarely happened the way they have been predicted. So Hollywood isn't going anywhere at all with the explosion of internet consumption. And it's clear that whether you are a content creator or a marketer, you now need to master both worlds, both Switzerland and India. You do need to live in Vallewood. As power has shifted from content producers to consumers, your audience has become much more fragmented. We spoke about that. Today, it's much harder to find your audience, whether they spend all the time watching the same thing, when they're not spending the time watching the same thing. And it's so much harder to break through the clutter. So if you're an advertiser, there used to be one day when you used to compete with your advertising as content, and it was the Super Bowl. We all have been used to it, and a lot of us love watching Super Bowl for the ads. But today, ads have to compete as content every single day. And if it's not happening today, it will be happening next year and the year after because of this fragmentation. So consumers have gotten used to exercising a lot of choice, fast-forwarding through ads, skipping them, stealing glances at another device, and you simply have to find a way to connect with them.